One thing that Coach was talking to us about was just not pushing the panic button after a weekend kind of series loss. Is that what it feels like in the locker room? 2 tough losses against a rival, but still it's early, move on?
Yeah, I mean, obviously loss happen in sports, and wasn't the outcome we wanted at all. But I think we talked about our game and what happened over the weekend, but we just really wanted to get back to what works for us, and we really wanted to focus starting Monday on practice and just preparing again for another weekend of games.
He said he was kind of second-guessing himself for taking the foot off the pedal as far as giving you guys a day off last week from practice. Do you expect he'll be kind of putting the hammer down a little bit more on you guys this week?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, obviously it always happens after a couple losses, but I mean, it's nothing new. We've been doing this for so many years, so just coming to the rink every day, we're just working to get better, just like he is.
Specifically, the power play kind of stuck out last week. You guys were 0 for 13 after scoring the first one. What do you guys need to tweak, if anything, to kind of get that back on track?
Yeah, we need to tweak a lot. We need to execute. Obviously, like you said, 0 for 13 after the first one. We just need to be more sharp. We need to have more urgency, and we need to execute. We need to go out there and score goals, because at the end of the day, specialty teams battles leads to wins for games.
I mean, that's a lot of opportunities you guys left on the table. I mean, how big of a factor was it just in those 2 games anyway?
Oh yeah, it was a huge factor. I mean, we had a 5-minute one on Saturday too,
right.
and we're 1 for 9 on Friday. It's just not acceptable at all. I mean, you plot a couple of goals on those, which should be a normal power play percentage, 20, 25. Obviously, it changes the game a lot, but it's kind of how the weekend went, and we just want to get back to work this week in practice.
It's still pretty early, but what are some of your observations on what the freshmen have provided so far in general, but also specifically Sam Morton, who's been in the lineup for every game so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think the freshmen have been great. Obviously, coming in, it's difficult to adjust right away from coming from juniors and everything, but I think they're doing a great job with it. Morty's been playing great. I think he's getting better each game. But we're all battling every day in practice, and I think they're each getting better every day with practice.
Have you seen any reflections in them from when you were a freshman and kind of stuff you were going through, making that big jump to college?
I haven't really looked at it too much, but I mean, I mean, now as a senior, like knowing little things, like just everyday things when it comes to like D zone, where to be, things like that. Obviously, I have so much more experience now. Coming in as a freshman, you weren't really thinking about too much systematically in juniors. So I think just gradually getting experience and them just being sponges and soaking everything up that they're seeing and learning for the first time is just will just help them in the long run.
What does Sam specifically bring to the table? I mean, can you just kind of describe him as a player and what he's good at?
Yeah, he's a really skilled forward, sees the ice really well, and I think he's also like a good two-way forward. Coming in as a freshman playing center, I know I was a winger for 2 years, and it's tough to do, and I think he's handled it pretty well so far.
Why is it hard? Is it just getting the mentality of like, yeah, maybe I better hedge back toward D instead of being a little more aggressive toward the goal line? Or I mean,
it's just tough when you're coming in freshman center. You got a lot of defensive responsibilities as well as you got to get up ice and create offense. So I think it's just a little bit different, and I mean, he's been doing really well in face-offs as well too. He's facing bigger and stronger guys than he did in junior, so I mean, I think he's adapted well.
Are things different when you're playing ECAC teams? Do you feel like maybe they know you a little bit better? Thinking your second weekend of ECAC coming up, you had RPI. Do you feel like there's a little bit different than like playing a Northeastern or team you don't see as often?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, never played Northeastern in my career until this year, and we see these ECAC teams twice every year, so kind of know their tendencies, what kind of game style they play. So going into league games, it's a bit more common to know the other team systems and things like that compared to out of league games. But I think that makes the fun of league play.
Do you like the idea that you're going to see 2 teams this weekend instead of just one?
Yeah, I think it's the first time we've done it this year, back to like normal ECAC play. But it's definitely different than just playing the same team twice. But I've kind of enjoyed it. But I mean, just getting back to playing games after those 2 losses, it's going to be fun.
How much different of a challenge does each of your opponents present, or similar for that matter, this weekend?
I haven't really looked at them too much, but they do play a little bit of a different style. Clarkson's big and heavy, and they're going to play fast. St. Lawrence always going to play fast and very skilled up front. So, I mean, pretty similar style, but also different at the same time. We've just really been focusing on ourselves, getting back to our game.
There's a specific thing or a couple specific things that you're talking about the power play, but this week that you guys are trying to kind of shore up before the weekend series, before these 2 games?
Yeah, there were a couple of themes in this past weekend. One was power play, like I said, special teams battle. I'm always going to work on that stuff throughout the week. And the other one was turnovers. We had a lot of turnovers, which led to great opportunities for them. So I think we need to play smarter with the puck, and we'll be working on that, as well as like compete level, battle level. We need to up that as well.
Is last weekend something you try to erase in the memory banks quickly, or is that something that could be used as motivation later in the year?
A little bit of both. You kind of want to get over it. It happened, and it's done with, and we got to move on. But at the same time, you got to kind of use that as fire. You want to have that motivate you going into next weekend. You want to get back in the win column, and you want to play games like you're supposed to, and kind of with an off weekend like we had there, we want to get back to union hockey.
Yeah, the power play really kind of let you guys down last weekend. Are there any adjustments or tweaks that you'll make on that, or is there anything that you can do to get back on track with that?
Just going to work at it, which we've already started in practice. So, we also got to not push the panic button. The power play was about 26% going into the game, and I think that gets lost in the translation, and all people think is what happened this weekend. So there's always two sides to it.
Not pushing the panic button, what has kind of your message been just this week to this team? Because it's just 2 losses, but it's still early in the season.
Just like you said, we haven't pushed the panic button one bit. We do know that we have to get back to, an old cliche is union hockey, but every successful team that I've had a chance to work with has always worked tremendously hard to get the wins. It's never going to be easy here, and we just got to get back to that. And it's not only on the players; it's on myself, who basically gave them some breaks last week. I have my reasons. Players know my reasons, and guess what? It didn't work. So we'll just go back to the old way.
What are those reasons? I think you gave them Tuesday off last week.
Yeah, the fact that sleep and recovery is very important. Coming off the road in the Northeastern, and more importantly, school. Some of these guys had midterms in week 7 and 8. I find bizarre, but that's the way it works here. And we just wanted to make sure that we call it an academic day on Tuesday, so it gave them some opportunity to catch up on their studies.
Can you just generally assess how the freshmen have done so far, and also specifically Sam Morton, who's been in the lineup for every game so far and had his first goal last weekend? But just freshmen in general, that what you've seen from them, but him specifically.
Yeah, I think Sam has established himself as a guy that's can contribute to this lineup. He provides value. I thought basically he's kind of our games that we played, he's played more good than off, which is good to see. He's a very coachable guy, and he's really willing. He does extra work, so he's just going to get a lot better. I think some of those guys can take a notice of how hard he works and how he does the little extra things to get better.
It's a little unusual to get a kid from California all the way out here. Can you just describe a little bit of the recruiting process and when he was first on your radar and how that all played out?
It seemed like Sam was on the radar for about 18 years, it felt like, but he, I give, Coach Tapp a lot of credit for that, Coach Ronan, for obviously noticing him years ago, sticking with it, staying with the process, and it was a long process, but ultimately, I think that how Jason and John handled it led Sam here.
Rick's your second weekend of ECAC. Do things change just because of the familiarity with the opponents? Make it maybe a little bit tougher because everybody knows each other so well?
Well, yeah, I mean, if we look at what we faced here recently, we've had to go back to back with the same teams. I mean, outside Army, which was a one game weekend, but the past 3 weekends have been against opponents, or past two, excuse me, that actually 3 that have been against the same opponent. So now we have St. Lawrence and Clarkson, so you got to adapt to different styles. And I don't know, I'm not sure if that's easier or harder. I think sometimes it's actually maybe, I'm not going to say easier, but different, and maybe different in a good way, where when you're going back to back, every team knows your style and what happens, and I like those type of like matchups because it makes you, I think, a better team and better coaches because you just have to adapt.
Is there any difference in the amount of film study you do on an opponent, ECAC versus non-league?
No, it's the same. We're not going to crush them with video because just watching that game again on Saturday night, we didn't capitalize on our opportunities, and they did. And I don't think they played so much better than us. I really don't, and I do give them a lot of credit. They earned it, but in the same token, I thought that third period we shot ourselves in the foot with a bad penalty here when we were gaining momentum, and it was small things. If we can correct those, then you know what? Maybe we're on the other side. So it's learning.
Specifically, sorry to interrupt, with St. Lawrence, what are you guys going to have to do? What jumps off when you're watching film with that team?
Well, I've only just watched one of their games. It was actually at home, so I wanted to see them play at home, and I'll watch the Michigan games here later. But again, it's a team that's going to work tremendously hard. They got some, and their decor has always been really good. They're active, and that just creates a tough matchup. The goaltender looked like he was, he always battles in net too. And when you got a goaltender and a decor that's very active and puts a lot of shots on net, it just creates a tough matchup. So our wingers have to be in tune of what's going on. I thought RPI did a good job of that too. Their defensemen had a lot of shots on our net and were very active. And I don't think it's something that we adjusted too well to.
Is it good for you to, I would think you want RPI to do well just from a travel partner standpoint. Like Clarkson goes in there Friday night, you want RPI probably to give them, to push them when they come in here. Is it advantageous for you to see RPI improve?
Pete, if you're asking me to root for RPI,
Not quite that. But.
I'd be lying to you. But honestly, I do. After you think about it, and we had an event Sunday. You're just, I'm there, but you're thinking about hockey, and honestly, I thought the rivalry was getting stale. Be blatantly honest with you, and why I say that, I felt that their crowd that night. Now I don't know if it was a World Series, but I thought that was down. But they were really loud, and then I thought when we came here, it was standing room only in warm-ups, and I didn't see that for the first time in a long time here. For whatever reason, I don't know. And now maybe it's, hey, they got the trophy now, and we got to get the mojo back and get this thing going.
It didn't sound stale when we talked to Voss afterwards. I think he used the word bitter like 3 times or something like that. So this seems like that weekend's going to stick with these guys for a little while.
I certainly hope so. But yeah, I mean, for them it was. I just felt that the way that they celebrated, and now you go watch after goals and how they were plugged in. They earned every second of it, And I wish we had a little bit more of that. And to sit here and tell you why, I mean, I explained it a little bit early, but that's just excuses.
Your RPI fans could have seen your game and 10 innings of the World Series in the same night if they.
That's right.
They planned ahead a little bit.
Hey, as long as the Red Sox won, which they did, you know what, there was a little silver lining in it, so.
You didn't
we'll
stay
take
up
it.
for that, I'm sure, right? The 3:30 game?
No, I did not. I was snoring.
Thought you might be up watching tape or something, had it.
No, but you know what we could have used? We could have used the Chris Sale fire on the bench
Right.
to get us going. You know, type, and I guess that's where I got to come in. And you know, again, it's easy to blame the players and fault them, but I was right there with them.
Cole has been kind of all over the place, helping you guys out. What have you liked from him? I know the season's still early on, but just the impact that he's had so far.
Consistency. You know what you're going to get from night in and night out, and I think that's not an easy. Playing a heavy game is not an easy game because it takes a toll on your body. But he seems to bring it every game, and even when Cole's not having his best game, we still know what we're going to get, and it's not going to be easy for the opponent. And to me, that's a leader. Even when you don't have your best night, we still know Cole's playing. He's providing value, and it's one of the things we'll say on the bench to guys. We, as a coaching staff, the last time I checked, we film these games, and we got to know you played. And sometimes I can't say that that's true, you know, for a lot of guys. But with Cole, I know when we put that film on after the game that guy played, and that's what we're looking for.